5 million voters go to the polls in South Vietnam's first free national election to choose between Premier Ngo Dinh Diem and absentee Emperor Bao Dai. For a people racked by the agonies of war, poverty, colonialism, and communism, it is a time for decision and an overwhelming endorsement of Diem, who receives more than 98% of the votes. In France, far from his torn country, the repudiated, fun-loving Bao Dai bows out. And at 54, Ngo Dinh Diem becomes Vietnam's first president, a resounding victory for the free world. Far from Loch Lomond's bonny banks, Her Majesty's Scots Guards have their fling in New York's Madison Square Garden. A color-splashed spectacle to dazzle the eyes and deafen the ears as all the clans from Mac A to Mac Z salute the visiting regimental band and masked pipers of Queen Elizabeth's Household Brigade. The Highland dancers, putting their swords in place, strut their stuff with tartan kilts a-flying in the traditional sword dance. Bagpipes skirling, dancers whirling at a giant Scottish jamboree. In New Delhi, Indian crowds celebrate the Hindu festival of Dussehra, symbol of the eternal victory of truth over evil. For 10 days, gaily decorated floats pass through the city, recalling the legend of Rama, whose wife was spirited away by the mighty king of Ceylon. Prime Minister Nehru himself joins in the traditional ceremonies that include the building of 3 towering images to represent the king who kidnapped Rama's wife, the king's brother, and his son. The images are set ablaze to celebrate Rama's victory over the trio and to remind Hindus that however strong the forces of evil, it is always truth that triumphs. A spectacular climax to an ancient Indian festival. Climbing into a giant transport plane at Kingston, Ontario, airborne troops of the Royal Canadian Signal Corps are ready for a mass practice jump. Over the drop area, the men stand poised as final wind and weather checks are made. The order to go ahead is radioed to the pilot, who gives the signal to hit the silt. In training exercises such as these, jumps are canceled if the wind is 15 miles an hour or more. Wind and weather, however, can be unpredictable, and the paratroopers find out the hard way as sudden gusts make for bumpy landings. But it's all part of molding a crack crew who can take it, the airborne soldiers of the Royal Canadian Signal Corps.
Major General William Dean, the hero of Korea, attends his last Army formation at the Presidio in San Francisco. Before retiring, the general receives the Combat Infantryman's Badge, his country's tribute to a soldier. In 1953, General Dean was gaunt and worn when released after 3 years a Korean War prisoner. Today, recovered, he receives his comrade salute for 32 years of service. Well done. Cameramen are barred from the runway at Nice Airport as former Sultan Sidi Ben Youssef of Morocco, seated, arrives in France with his family after 18 months of exile in Madagascar. Ben Youssef, ousted for anti-French leanings in 1953, after 26 years on the throne, is expected to return and reign again as Sultan of troubled Morocco. Former President Truman marks his debut as an author by autographing copies of his memoirs for all comers in Kansas City. And 3,500 did come, overflowing a ballroom and keeping the ex-president's pen going at one signature every 6 seconds. Year of Decisions is the first volume of the memoirs of Harry Truman.
The National Horse Show opens in New York's Madison Square Garden, where international jumping teams parade their steeds. The classic features thoroughbred horseflesh and top-drawer society. Entertainer Arthur Godfrey gives an opening night demonstration on a fancy-stepping Palomino stallion. America, Mexico, Canada, and Ireland compete in the international jumping for the Goodwill Challenge Trophy. Mexico's General Umberto Marilles starts the course without trouble as he clears the first obstacles, but loses points when his mount refuses a barrier. W.R. Ballard, captain of the Canadian team, riding Oregon Duke. Jumping the course for the Irish Army team is Lieutenant Patrick Kiernan, whose riding wins the Goodwill Trophy for Ireland at the National Horse Show. New York's Giants and Washington's Redskins tangle in a game studded with surprises from the opening kickoff. The Giants are on the receiving end. Halfback Jim Pathe has it on the 2-yard line. Swiveling through charging Redskins, Pathe, the lightest man in the Giant lineup, outsprints the entire Washington defense. From the 2, he rockets 98 yards for a touchdown. A smartly executed fake and handoff from Connelly to Webster sends the New Yorker on another long-distance safari. While numerous Redskins bite the dust, he scoots 52 yards for the second Giant score. The game's weirdest play starts with a giant pass by Connelly. It's to Webster on the sidelines. Some say he's inbounds, some say he's out. But stumble, fall, and crawl, he makes the Giants' third TD. Connelly follows with a touchdown pass to Root, and the Giants swamp the Skins 35-7.